You know, it's cool. Carrots are great. I grow carrots around in my pot around my artichoke, and it's great because they just, I mean, we've had some in the ground over a year now, and we just pick them when we need them. And then permaculture. See, this is where I'm so jealous of Sue because she can do permaculture at her house. Permaculture is what I strive for at my house, which is a completely self-sustaining system. And I'm missing one thing that I cannot produce there, and that's water. And Sue has maybe I should say, she has a stream that runs through her property year-round, which has been my desire for my whole life. A stream running through my property, and Sue has it.
Can I use that water as like the fish water? Because there's crawdads and stuff?
Well, there wouldn't be enough probably nutrients
Enough
in it.
Okay.
But I almost bought a house once that had a stream running through it, and my wife vetoed it. So I'm forgiving her for it. When John, her husband, told me about the place they were getting, I wanted to sell my house and buy it. But anyway, so but permaculture is cool because that's, you know, I mean, you just create a system that's self-sustaining. For example, you say if you have too many slugs or snails in your yard, then you need ducks. You need more ducks. And I don't have ducks, but I have deckless snails, and those are snails that eat snails. And then I have chickens, so I go out every morning. When I'm in the yard, if I see a snail, I take it and feed it to my chickens, and they love it. So,
Do you let your chickens out at all for snack time?
I will when I don't have things growing in the garden, in the vegetable garden, but since I grow things almost year-round in the vegetable garden, I can almost never let them out.
Okay.
And also, they go straight to blueberries. Do you know what the blueberries are? They love the blueberries. And then you can tell the eggs change just a little bit of color. Okay, so this is probably the most, this, anyone want to guess how you say that?
What does it say?
Mycorrhizae. I have some for you. So first like guys can get some mycorrhizae. Mycorrhizae is a fungus that creates a symbiotic relationship with the plant in that it lives off the plant, but it provides more to the plant than it gives. And say, for example, I have a plant in this pot, and a root hair is the smallest root that there is. And a root hair, say the root hair is the smallest root hair is the size of my little finger here. A mycorrhizae filament would be the size of a needle compared to this. So basically, the root hair can utilize the soil and nutrients that's in this pot, but there's a lot of soil and nutrients in that pot, in that soil, that the root hairs cannot get to because the crevices and cracks in there are too small for the root hairs to get, and mycorrhizae can get in those crevices. So basically, if you inoculate your plants with mycorrhizae, university studies have shown that you can reduce your watering by 30% and your fertilization by a comparable number. So mycorrhizae is a fungus that does not hurt the plant. And it's in native soils, but in our soils where they come in and take all the good stuff off, it's important to re-inoculate the plants. And it's important, though it's in a dormant state in here, but so if you're inoculating a established plant, you need to get it in contact with the roots within 2 weeks, because once it becomes active, if it doesn't contact the root within 2 weeks, it'll die. And so basically, if you have a tree, for example, you just take a stake and go to the root zone and pound the stake into the ground, pull it out, and then pour this in and then water it in. And hopefully it will come in contact with the root, and it will inoculate the root. Every world record plant grower in the country right now, every world record for, like, you know, the pumpkin growing contest, they all use this stuff. And there's various strains of mycorrhizae, but that's the King Kong strain, which is globulus something or other, mycorrhizae globulus. But anyway, so that's mycorrhizae. When you plant, use mycorrhizae because you'll reduce your watering over time and your fertilization and all that stuff. So it's great, great stuff. I have samples here for you.
And that's not cheating nature,
That is
perfectly
nature.
natural?
That's nature,
Okay.
because mycorrhizae is in all native soils. Now, it doesn't work on blueberries, and there's some plants it won't work on, but that's what I remember when I first heard about this probably 10 years ago. I tried to get my company to incorporate it, and they said it's a fad that won't last, and now virtually every good fertilizer out there has mycorrhizae in it. And so it's a great thing. I remember when anyone know what corn gluten meal is around here? Corn gluten meal?
Corn gluten meal?
Corn gluten meal is actually a weed preventative, a pre-emergent, stops weeds from growing. When I got my Horton degree, I did a study on that, and the professor said, I don't believe that product exists. And but they always laughed at me because I was organic. I was organic back then when it wasn't popular, and they're all chem heads. Anyway, so we talked about lawns. Don't, mow your lawn, but don't take the clippings, and if there's extra clippings, just throw them in your garden. And don't fertilize too much. Fertilize if you use good fertilizer, you only have to fertilize. Ideally, in fertilizing the lawn, and by the way, I hate lawns. I only have a lawn because my wife makes me. But ideally, you should fertilize your lawns. If you're only going to fertilize it one time a year, fertilize it in the fall. Other than that, fertilize it early spring, early fall, late fall. And that if you want the best lawn in the neighborhood. And then if you want the absolute best lawn in the neighborhood, but you want to mow a lot, every time you mow, put down a little bit of ammonium sulfate, which is very nasty fertilizer, but guarantee you'll have the best lawn in the neighborhood if you put just a little bit down. If you put a little bit too much down, it'll burn your lawn and you'll have the worst lawn in the neighborhood. But you'll also have to mow a lot. Because we talked about NPK, what's N nitrogen, most important nutrient to plants. NPK, but nitrogen is the most important nutrient though. And that ammonium sulfate is just pure nitrogen. That brings up another thing too. It's great because if you, by the way, am I talking too long, Sue, still?
No,
Oh, Sandra.
it's
We're almost over, right?
8:18, so
Alright.
question and answers. will
Anyway,
be on
so,
time.
I forgot what I was gonna say, but, it doesn't matter, I guess. Oh, but, no, legumes, which are peas, they actually trap nitrogen from the air. And so, for example, I have a bank behind my hill, or a hill behind my house where I have some trees. And so I put clover in there, which is a legume, where the rabbits don't eat it. And that actually provides nitrogen, pulls nitrogen from the air, and gives it to the plants, so, cool stuff. Anyway, so, I think that's all the things I wrote down. So, and if you read this, there's some other stuff in here. Well, I just want to run through the fruit trees real quick, just so show you guys what you can grow, and if you have any questions about them. Some of these orange are obviously here. Weeping mulberry. Anyone know you guys all know what a weeping tree is, right? Weeping trees are fantastic. Because mulberries, anyone have a mulberry? Mulberries are fantastic. They are like the fruit of the gods. I mean, that's what we're going to eat in heaven if we get there. So a mulberry tree gets way, way big. I mean, way big. My actual brother has one growing through his house in St. George. But he built his house around this mulberry tree. But a weeping mulberry just goes up like this and then goes down like that. So it's very easy to pick the fruit. And fantastic. In fact, you'll never see mulberries in a store because you pick them and they start melting in your hand, basically. And so you pick them and you eat them and they're fantastic. Loquat, you know what a loquat is?
Yeah.
Loquats are great, right? Kumquat, you know what a kumquat is? Great. You guys you eat the pills and everything, right?
Yep.
Love kumquats. My kids eat them so fast. I just also had scale on one of my kumquats, so I got to spray it. Macadamia nut. So I have a macadamia. It's a macadamia nut tree. It's small still, so it'll be probably good for producers, but it's cool. Figs, I got 2 different figs, so those are cool. And if you look at these numbers, that's the number of trees I have, followed by the number of varieties. And that brings up another problem I've got to talk about real quick, so let me forget about varieties. Raspberries, easy. Mango, I have a mango, but it produced 1 mango once. It's only 3 years old, but it dies back every year, so because it gets too cold for it. Tangerines, I have 4 different tangerines that produce at 4 different times, so we have tangerines over a longer season. Pomegranate, lime, nectarine tree, apricot, plum, Asian pear, 4 different avocados, so I have avocados when they're fully ripe, I'll have avocados 11 months out of the year, which is cool. And right now Sue has more than I do, and I'm jealous. Kiwi, there's a kiwi plant, I can't remember the variety, I'm sorry, but you eat the skin and everything, and it's a self-fertile. So actually I'm growing it, it's a vine, so I'm growing it up over the kids' playhouse.
It's a vine?
Yeah, it's a vine, a kiwi vine. Persimmons are great. Passion vine, I don't know if you ever had a passion vine.
What is it?
It's a fruit, but it's the ugliest fruit you'll ever see. I remember when I was looking in the book, I thought, that can't be a picture of passion vine. And then when I cut my first one, it looks like someone threw up, basically. So you cut it open and then you eat it, and it's not bad. Banana, I have banana, which I have to take in the garage during the winter, and I pull it out and
You have a goji berry tree?
3 of them. Goji berries, yeah.
Goodness.
They produce, and gojis are very invasive, in fact. I have them in pots. They are very invasive. They have grown, in fact, get this, I have one that grew under the sidewalk and up through another pot and is coming out in my plumeria.
No way.
So just last week I went and bought the things. I'm gonna pull them up, cut off the roots that are coming out of the bottom of the pot and put them on bricks. Because they're coming up 15 feet away.
So is it a tree or vine?
It's just a shrub. Goji berry is a shrub.
Okay.
And great, very healthy, very tasty little berries. We get a lot of them. Sapote, anyone know what a sapote is? It's a tropical, but it gets really big, evergreen. And it could die if it gets too cold here, but I'm hoping it gets established, and then it will just die back a little bit. But it's supposed to be a fabulous fruit. It is a very good fruit. You know, when I got it, the guy said, this is the best fruit ever. And I was thinking, okay. And then I had one. And it's very good, but it's not the best. Peach is still the best. Peach or cherry.
I agree.
So then I got 3 different cherries. And you can, if you get a cherry here, you need to get a mini Lee or royal Lee, because they're the type that will grow in this climate. And like I said, I have hundreds of cherries growing on my
What
2
was the
trees.
name of that mini?
Mini Lee, you need a mini Lee and a royal Lee. You need both of them.
Lee as in L-E-E?
Ellie, yeah, Minnie like Minnie Mouse, and
Okay.
Lee, and then Royal Lee.
This is surprised. Is it the cherries that you usually sell in the store?
No, because most of those are Bangor. They come
The
from
north.
yeah, they come from where it's cooler. But the I think the Royal Lee has excellent flavor, and the Mini Lee just has good flavor. But they're both very tasty.